Yeah, let's just go ahead and drop all the U.S. dollar holdings by injecting huge amounts of money into the economy, which is what the Federal Reserve is doing uh, today. I'm sure it's just a coincidence that that's happening after the elections have come through. We had those on Tuesday here in the United States, and so now there's going to be, a day or so later, they suddenly announce that there's going to be this massive injection of money into the world's accounts from the Federal Reserve, which consequently, of course, is going to create a decline in the U.S. dollar, and that's going to create problems for the for people who are holding U.S. dollars, because they're going to see there's the promise that over the next 6 months or so that whatever they're holding is going to become substantially more worthless as time goes by. So you'd have to be a pretty committed individual to hold on to any U.S. dollars that you've got, because you're going to know that they're going to be losing value, which means that there could be quite a few other nations, other individuals, other investors who are going to try to get rid of the U.S. dollar. That's a pretty straight line kind of prediction. The more mystical prediction that I think is a chance and a likely outcome of this is that this may actually be something. My sense is that there's a very good chance that this may actually spark a couple of wars that happen, possibly one in the Middle East, and a little strongly more the idea that there could be one that starts in Asia because of this kind of the repositioning that takes place within governments because of this. So, been reluctant to say it until I actually saw the Federal Reserve go ahead and do it. I'd been thinking it for a couple of months now, but now I'll go ahead and go on record and say that I think that there's the likelihood that war is going to start because of this, valuation of the dollar that's taking place. It doesn't really take a rocket scientist to kind of figure out that this is the kind of thing that could put enormous pressures on governments to actually change their monetary standing, and that could actually impact how they think their country is going to do in terms of being able to grow, in terms of being able to get what they need. It's not dissimilar to suddenly coming to someone, a private citizen, and telling them you no longer have as much money as you thought you had before, and for some people, you've lost your job or you've lost whatever. So now suddenly they're looking at it's a tougher time then, and so people who may have never thought of bank robbery, something like that, that may have never contemplated doing anything like that in their life. This works for nations too. Suddenly they may not have ever contemplated that, hey, we might end up getting into a conflict with our neighbor, but then suddenly they see that situations have changed, and suddenly they may begin to think in terms of, well, they have something that we need, and we no longer have the ability. It's no longer palatable to actually pay for it. It's actually easier just to go and take it. And I think that in those situations you can oftentimes see little crises of conflict come up. The images that keep coming to me are basically ships that end up shooting at each other, or maybe somebody rams another ship or something like that. Those are the images that kind of keep coming up, is that where it seems like there's a conflict or warfare that's starting over the concept that someone's ship is being attacked or is being harassed or being in some other ways influenced, and that this kind of puts in position it kind of becomes a wall. Then in government you kind of have to form around the incident, and you have to stand firm, and you have to and then you have to posture, you have to do all these things, and it's from that posturing that you begin to see the conflict developing. And I think a lot of it's going to be related to the economics here, and I think that that's a chance that that's going to begin fairly quickly. Also involved in this, I think, is the concept that we may be seeing a war develop, or a stock market decline in the United States. I think that's an unintended consequence. I don't think that's what the Federal Reserve is intending. It's not a foregone conclusion that it must happen, but I think that there has been a miscalculation on the part of. There are some people who actually felt like they had things in place, is my sense. And what they weren't taking into account is the reaction of the rest of the world, and that there are some other elements out in the world that are going to view this action on the part of the Federal Reserve as being a slightly more questionable. They're going to have more doubts than they may have expressed to the Federal Reserve before this began. I think that it's the kind of thing that could then lead to a lack of confidence in the way that the U.S. economy is going, and consequently you could see a slide in the stock market. So I would not be at all surprised if we saw perhaps a 2,000 point correction in the stock market, or devaluation, we'll put it that way. That 2,000 point drop between, say, now maybe March of 2011. So that's kind of my sense. So we'll see if I'm right, see if I'm wrong, and just see kind of how things go. But I'm going to go out on a limb and make that prediction, because it is something that I promised myself I would do. I've known about it for a while, or at least thought about it for a while, just haven't said anything. But since they've now gone ahead and done they've actually pumped more money out into the economy, I'll go ahead and I will actually admit that this is a prediction that occurred to me a while back, and I'll go ahead and I'll put it out in the public. So this is me doing that, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, let me go ahead and figure out how to post this and do everything. And everyone have a good day, and try to be spiritual, be good, be nice, and try to remember to smile. Have a good day.